You can hear this. You are not alone. This is the resistance.
What's up, everyone? Hitman with the Resistance here with good old Revan. We are the Worldwide Resistance Network. And as always, check us out on X, YouTube, all at Real TWWRN, and also
and
be sure to
Rumble.
follow us
And
on Rumble. Yes, I was getting to that. Thank you, Revan. Also on Rumble. Want to be able to expand that network, give us more creative control, and to be able to do new and fun things, and just follow us on Rumble. We'll make this shit go nuts.
Also,
But you know,
check out the Anonymous Metawadi Network on YouTube. Also, check out the Anonymous Republic Network on Minds, the Anonymous Meta Network on X.
it's the Anonymous Meta Network now?
It's Anonymous Mando Network on
Mando
X.
Network. Okay. Yeah, because I remember it used to be Anonymous Liberty Media, and
That is
that's
on,
why.
that is on
Yeah.
Tumblr. It's on Tumblr. Check out Revan Ordo 76 on MeWe. Also, check out Mastodon. Hold on here.
Yeah,
All
give us a grocery list.
All right. Check out Reverend Ordo 76 on Mastodon, as well as Reverend Sarcastic Unix Network on Getter. Count of Generation X of Gen X on Rumble.
And of course, all of that content is also shared on our X channel
Mando
at
Network.
Real
Mando
TWWRN.
Network on X.
Are you on your phone again?
Well, also last one. Anonymous Liberty Media 76 on Gab. Last one.
Wow, you got a lot of shit, dude.
Hey man, I gotta cover all the bases, man.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here at TWWRN. Just try to cover our bases, cover all these platforms. Maximize our exposure. So right now we're on Rumble. I think maybe we'll jump onto Twitch as well. I had a friend who was doing a stream last night. They do it on Twitch. Seems to be a lot of good creative control there.
Oh yeah.
So I might consider expanding that and just having everything networked through StreamYard. Because currently we're transmitting on YouTube and X, and I've also got this shared to
Discord.
I don't have it connected to Discord yet. We do got to get that set up. There's a freaking groundhog in my fucking backyard. I'm a dork.
Well, we do have one, brother. I mean, we got one on Discord.
Yeah.
Here, I'll show you guys.
Oh, we do have one? Is that something that you and Connor set up?
No, me and you, man.
When the hell we do that?
The Real Tin Man. It was a year ago.
Yeah, we'll fuss with that after the fact. But let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. And are you on your damn phone again?
No.
No? 'Cause it seems like we
Mandalorian,
might be out of sync.
the Mandalorian Troll Squad.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get into that after the video, but that is not the premise of our video. I don't want to start a fight because there's
That
definitely
is later.
already
That
enough
is
of a
later.
fight going on.
That
What?
is later. That is later.
Yeah.
This is this here is later. Later.
Yeah. Alrighty. Good. So, yeah, I don't want to fight about it. We got enough fighting going on.
Do not want to rush. Do
in
not want to rush.
Europe.
We want to expand this first, then anything else is uncivilized. So let's go.
Who shoved what up Mickey Mouse's ass?
I don't know. Goofy.
I don't know. I don't want to fight about it. But because there's just way too much fighting going on in
Who said
the UK right now.
Who said we were fighting over Goofy being up Mickey's ass?
I thought Goofy was fucking Minnie Mouse and Mickey
Mhm.
found out.
Who?
Yeah. I thought Mickey divorced Minnie because she was fucking Goofy.
Mm.
Wasn't that the joke?
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. We got a lot of shit happening in Europe right now, in the UK. Starting with that teenage girl in Scotland standing up to aggressors trying to get at her little sister. She went after them with a hatchet and a knife, and they arrested her. Next thing you know, we've got protests happening all over Europe. I mean, we've had these migrant issues for a while here in the United States and in Europe, and it's been a problem on both fronts. Europe in particular, they have been arresting their citizens, and from what it seems is, now neither one of us are there, but from what is coming out of the UK is that they're arresting their own citizens for resisting any sort of onslaught from the migrants, which are over there is from Africa and the Middle East. Apparently, sexual assault is on an all-time high.
Yeah. Oh,
And the European people have had enough. And they're taking to the streets and protest.
Well, not just that, they're arresting them for going up against the Online Safety Act, which we all know it's the censoring of the UK people.
Yeah. They don't want the UK people to have a voice and to say what's going on in their countries. They don't want the rest of the world to know. So they're censoring their people. And the people have had enough. And it's to the point where it can't be hidden. It cannot be anymore. The people have spoken way too loud. The people of the UK are not as passive aggressive as their leaders would have hoped. And now it's coming back to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, it is. It is really biting them in the ass because ever since Prime Minister Hitler signed the...
And no, we're not talking about Donald Trump.
No, not Trump. The Prime Minister...
Yeah, because people associate Trump with Hitler, so we want to make that distinction clear.
The Prime Minister of England and the Deputy Prime Minister, Eva Braun herself, they are just, I mean, the way they act, if you really think about it for a moment, the Prime Minister...
Take the ball and run with it.
They both is like Eva Braun and Hitler of England, who are basically doing exactly what the Gestapo did 80 years ago. They want to censor dissidents, any dissidents, anybody that go against the rule. They're arresting them.
Yeah.
And well, not just that, his Gestapo is monitoring the social media on anybody that speaks out against immigration or against the Online Safety Act, which is bullshit, you know.
Yeah, go ahead and elaborate on that. And but before you do, to anybody tuning in, feel free to join in the conversation. I am enabling comments on our stage now. Feel free to join in the conversation, and we can have ourselves a little bit about back and forth. The topic today is the rising discontent in the UK. Will it result in a violent revolution? And is a violent retaliation mindset the type of mindset that we need as a global society going forward in order to keep political powers in check? Namely, the idea, and this is kind of what I want to segue into, is, apart from revolution, after the fact, back just a few hundred years ago, you had French and English citizens who would remove political leaders, whether they be kings, monarchs, governors, whatever, who weren't doing a good job, and unalive them. And it begs the question, especially with all the uprising in Europe, are we heading towards a revolution? And is going back to that former mentality, that former mindset of do a good job or put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye kind of mindset going to be what we as a society globally are going to need to keep totalitarianism at bay? But, before we really get into the meat and potatoes of that, a little bit of backstory. Revan, go ahead with the online censoring in Europe.
We all know that YouTube. Well, I'm gonna go far back. I'm gonna go as far back as I can here.
You want to go back to when YouTube started censoring? Is where you're alluding to?
Well, a few years ago, YouTube got caught in collecting children's information data.
Yeah.
And it got so bad. I mean, like seriously, very, very bad that they had to create the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPA.
Yeah.
And YouTube had to pay out a whopping $370 million.
Okay. Do we know who YouTube and Google were selling that information to? Did that ever come out?
No, not that I know of. But they had a payout recently, $30 million. And England and Europe. Yeah.
Only $3 million.
$30 million.
$30 million. I thought you said $3 million. I'm like,
no. 30.
Okay.
Now, what I can elaborate is now this Online Safety Act is nothing more than a digital Berlin Wall for the people, for the UK people.
Yeah. Basically, from what I understand, and we've talked about this before, but for those of you who don't tune in and who may not know, the Online Safety Act in Europe, it's pretty much identity verification for even just general use of online services. We have similar legislations here in the United States and in many states, such as here in Tennessee, where you have to show age verification and identity verification to access adult pornographic websites. However, Europe has taken it all the way and just maxed out to the extreme to demand that there be identity verification for even just general use of online services.
Exactly.
This includes bill pay, whether you're surfing YouTube, talking on social media, paying bills online, looking up your favorite artist on their website, provided they even still have one. All of that, you now have to verify your identity in Europe under the guise of protecting children.
What I can say here is I've been streaming ever since that act happened. Okay. I didn't show my ID. I didn't show my selfie. I didn't show a credit card.
Yeah. Well, you're not a resident of any European country either.
No, but
you're in the United States.
They're wanting companies like YouTube and Discord and Spotify to show. They're wanting you to show your ID, your selfie, and your credit card. But here's the thing, though. My question is for everybody here: has anybody showed your ID, your selfie, and your credit card? I didn't.
No.
Now Microsoft. Now this also has pertained to gamers too. Microsoft, like Xbox, right? I can get on my Xbox and play my game online. And whatever. Did I show my ID? Selfie? Credit card? Because the thing is, Prime Minister Hitler himself, Mr. Four Eyes, sat uncomfortably next to President Trump. We said, we had free speech for a long time. And what happened? President Trump would go right in.
Let's get his ass.
And now, here is something that's happening now. 4chan is suing the English government. Because it's X.
Okay, so that is confirmed now. 4chan is, in fact, suing the European governments.
Yes.
Do we know specifically what government is being sued? Or is it the European Union as a whole?
The UK. So the UK government.
Okay, so United Kingdom, England specifically.
4chan and another company is suing the UK government over this. Now, 4chan,
so the United Kingdom is getting sued.
4chan is based out of Delaware. No. And there's been so much going on within the last few weeks, days, Now, this protest in Europe, it has nothing. Besides the immigration shit, also freedom of speech, right?
Yes.
A mother of 3 is serving a 31-month sentence for speaking out against immigration on X.
Yeah.
Now, Prime Minister Hitler says, we have free speech for a long time. Okay, Prime Minister Hitler, if you say that you have free speech for a long time, why
are people being arrested?
Why sends a mother of 3 to 31 months in prison?
Yeah. That's 2.5 years.
And she was just attacked 3 weeks ago in jail. Or jail guard.
By the jail guards or the inmates?
Jail guards.
Oh, damn.
So they
Yeah,
had
and
to
see,
move.
this isn't something that's really widely talked about.
They had to move her to. They had to move her to 2 other prisons to hide her. Because she spoke out against immigration.
Huh?
So, Deputy Prime Minister Eva Braun says, we're being attacked by tech companies.
No,
Deputy,
you're being sued by tech companies.
no, being attacked, threatened.
Okay, threatened how? Did they ever elaborate on this? Or is it?
It's all for the camera for sympathy. Because they know that we're seeing right through their smoke screen.
Yeah.
And now you got this group I like to call Australia's feminazis. Collective shout.
Ah, yes, the feminazis. Go ahead and elaborate on the feminazis.
Oh man. This is a group that goes back 10 years. They're like a feminazi version of BLM. They want to push propaganda, all that crap.
Kangaroo lives matter.
Yeah.
Dingo lives matter.
It's more like Dingleberry's lives matter.
And Dingo ate me baby.
Yeah. They got caught. Recently. Now, let me elaborate here. They're a group that goes back 10 years.
Yes.
Claiming that violent video games is being used against kids and women and other bullshit. Like
basically, it's the original argument for Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
But since the early 90s, we've been having that argument. Oh, yeah. Video game violence is the problem in society. Okay.
But Steam been around for a long time. Pay systems like Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal have censored people that would buy a game on Steam, play it, and stream it. Yeah. And the thing is, here's a fact. There are a lot of females out there that do play games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Resident Evil, GTA, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, there's a lady at my work. She's a cleaning lady. And on her break, she'll be on her phone playing Call of Duty.
And, I mean...
European, yes.
Yeah.
I typed it in on my phone. I got to go back and post and make some grammatical edit. Thank you, Ian.
But it's round 2 of Gamergate. It's throwing that mix, And the thing is, I mean, now they're saying gamers are abusers. Time out. How can gamers be abusers when all they want to do is play a good game, have fun, be left alone, mind their own business, bother nobody, be abusers? Only abusers I see is Collective Shout, feminazis, the UK government,
Well, it's the same argument that we've been having since the 90s. Oh, video games are so violent and they cause their players to be violent. Even though we have seen no correlation and no evidence to support this claim. No correlation between violence and video game usage. However, if we point out things like the correlation between recent mass shooters being trans and their parents being involved in the sorry, I can't even think of the word, the CIA in many aspects, or even working at the location where the shooting took place. Such as the most recent shooting. The mother worked at that Catholic school that the shooter decided to shoot up. And his father worked as a high-level contract CIA. But if you point that stuff out, it's bad, even though the evidence is overwhelming. But yet we are supposed to just accept this narrative that violent video games cause violence in youth and subsequently females now, with no evidence to support this allegation. I shouldn't even call it fact, this insinuation.
Alleged situation. Now, for every time when there's a shooter that's trans, there's a manifesto. But they won't release the manifesto.
Well, Jones, I'll give him credit where credit is due. He was actually spot on in being the first to get all this information out, including the manifesto, via his FBI whistleblower contacts. If you want to, just go back just a few days and watch those InfoWars Alex Jones Show broadcasts from last week. He spent like 2 or 3 days covering it, and even the day that it happened, that's all he covered. He was the first to break the shooter's identity, his picture, and the manifesto, which stated that he regretted his decision to go through the trans procedures and body modification procedures and was lashing out and taking revenge on those who didn't accept him. God forbid, you hold yourself accountable or your parents accountable for pushing it if they were the ones who pushed it, or even just your peers and political ideologies that push these narratives. No, you just attack Christian conservatives and little kids who don't have anything to do with this.
That one shooter in Uvalde, Texas, he was trans.
Yeah. In fact, most shooters, in fact, I think statistically it's been virtually every shooter for the past 4 or 5 years has been trans. But they don't want that narrative getting out. At which point, if your whole thing is gun control, conservatives are bad, MAGA is bad, Trump is bad,
white man bad,
why are you having liberal trannies and pro-LGBTQ and pro-Black Lives Matter people doing the shootings? It just seems counterproductive to me. I mean, if your narrative is to demonize your opposition, why are you using your own people? Or at least,
they try.
I mean, if you're going to do it, why aren't they doing it as somebody who would actually could pass as the quote opposition, as a MAGA supporter or something? Dress somebody up, but you can't dress a freaking tranny up as a as a MAGA.
No.
It's just really not going to work. And you most certainly can't. Your target most certainly can't be a Christian school full of little kids. I mean, that's just counterproductive to the narrative.
The first 3 shootings, the media was trying to spin it where it was a straight white man that did the shooting. Until that narrative got blown out of the water when it was a trans individual that did the shooting.
Yeah, I mean, the stupidity and arrogance to think that, with the accessibility of information in the internet, that we wouldn't gain access to this information and find out the truth. And that's probably why Europe wants to control the internet and control who's online and what they can see, because the internet has, for lack of a better term, opened the floodgates to an endless barrage of information. The endless flow of information, both fiction and fact, is just at the click of a button.
Yeah.
And they have no real way of controlling that.
No.
Except to say that we have to censor you. We have to know who you are and where you're going, and we have to decide where you're going. And if you disagree with that and you use something like Tor or VPN, then you're a child predator. I mean, that's the only way that they can control the flow of information.
It's
on a river of information.
It's an old song and dance. It's an old Hillary Clinton song and dance.
Yeah. And the thing is, the people just aren't buying it anymore. Europeans in particular, I mean, everybody the world over, including their own government, thought that the European people had become pacifists, just gentlemanly pacifists. And now they're taking to the street after a 14-year-old girl goes after an aggressor with a hatchet and a knife to protect her little sister. I mean, when something like that breaks out, all hell broke loose. All hell was broken loose in Europe. The people obviously aren't as passive as their leaders thought.
Poland, El Salvador are really pulling a Trump, man. They're like they see what he's doing, and they're doing the exact same thing, man.
Yeah.
You got Giorgia Leone of Italy, Prime Minister of Italy. She's a female version of Trump in a way herself.
Yeah.
And they're starting to realize they're starting to realize that a lot of people are waking up to this shit because the entire floodgates have been wedged open and stuck open.
Yeah, they can't control the flow of information while in the midst of propagating their crises. They should have they did it ass backwards. They tried to start the crises, then control the flow of information rather than control the flow of information and then initiate crises. They did it ass backwards, and they made the same mistakes that every dictator makes. They move too fucking fast. And then that's where they get their shit rocked. And now you've got Europeans all across Europe, not just in Scotland and Ireland, but all over Europe, taking to the streets, ready to fight back. They've had enough. And the question is, we're seeing this not only in Europe, but we're seeing it in
the UK,
the United States as well. United States, Canada, everywhere. This is happening the world over. People are waking up. They're tired of their governments pulling bullshit on them. and they're taking to the street. And at which point, and I've asked this many times before, can we have a peaceful renaissance in place of a violent revolution? Or is violent revolution an inevitability? That is really the big question. And after the fact, especially if there is a violent revolution, is the threat of violence something that's going to be needed, as has been in the case in the past? Is that going to be a necessity in order to keep governments in line, to keep them from becoming totalitarian?
If there's a need of a civil war to put these leftist groups like BLM and Antifa in line, put them to rest for life, for good, I'm there, man.
Well, I'm not just talking about little groups like Antifa or BLM or any of that shit. That's fucking raisins on the ground in comparison. I'm talking about government officials, whether they be local or federal or all the way up to federal.
You have groups like them that have gone from fucking stupid to majorly malfunctioning up mentally up to here.
Yeah,
and they're wanting to start something.
Yeah, even so, but they're not political officials. They don't have any real power. They're small potatoes, is what I'm saying. But you got to get into things like, government officials, mayors, governors, congressmen, Senate majorities, the White House, even third-party influencers like Bill Gates, George Soros, and Fauci, and even monarchs, like the European Parliament and the British royal family and their subsequent governing bodies. The threat of violence is what kept totalitarianism at bay in the past. I mean, you had the French revolutions that happened just
300 years ago.
Just a few hundred years ago, if that. And they ripped their leaders out of their homes in the middle of the night, mob style, drug them out into the courtyard, and, to quote the Red Queen, off with their head. And I'm not advocating violence. I'm just stating historical fact. And even then, it was very hard to keep, even with the threat of violence, leaders still would get out of hand. You'd have a shortage of bread. You'd have a leader tell you, well, go eat cake. Piss off your people, and then,
Before Zelensky, the people of Ukraine got mad at their parliament, got them out, and threw them in the garbage cans and shit.
Yeah.
This was Zelensky. This was like 13 years ago, man. 13 years ago.
And now it seems to be heading that way again. The people in Ukraine have taken to the streets and protest of these wars. They've had enough. They have literally just had enough of this bullshit and said no more. They want the wars to stop. And it's especially hard in Europe and in these countries because they're on the verge of bankruptcy. They're on the verge of economic collapse.
And Zelensky ain't doing shit. He ain't doing shit. Here's a
No,
guy.
he's doing shit. He's sitting on his private jet snorting cocaine, you know?
Here's,
Begging
guy.
begging Europe for a nuclear weapon.
Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. Here's a guy, President Zelensky of Ukraine. His wife bought a Bugatti for $4.5 million, right? Under the Biden administration, they were given $7 billion. Was it $200 billion within the last 3 years?
Yeah.
His wife bought a Bugatti for $4.5 million. All that money, leaked footage of people of Ukraine partying, going to nightclubs and partying.
Yeah. Yeah, but now people are beginning to have enough of these wars. And Europe in particular, they're on the verge of economic collapse to the point where they have stated, the European Union has stated, they want a 20 to 30-year war with Russia in order to save their economy. They need this war with Russia and Ukraine, with NATO funding everything so that Europe profits off of it and sustains and recovers their economy. And at which point, then once Russia falls, they divide up the spoils into 5 parts, and Europe gets all those mineral resources.
It's just another racket.
It is. And that was their plan to save their economy, because they've completely tanked it. And then they brought in all these migrants. You know, they basically pulled a Joe Biden and let all these migrants from Africa and the Middle East flood in, and, you know, rape and violence and murder have skyrocketed in Europe. You know, you hear it all the time, people being attacked and stabbed in the neck, you know, or people, or the refugees walking up and trying to stab a baby in a bassinet or a freaking stroller. Sorry, a stroller. You know, you have people in these migrant communities trying to approach little kids and young women to either abduct them for human trafficking or rape gangs, or just even rape or violently assault them on the street. It happens all the time in ever-increasing numbers. I think the statistics that Elon Musk quoted is that these acts of violence and rape have statistically tripled since the migrant influx in Europe. And the people of Europe have had enough. And at which point, if their governments don't bend to the words of the people, is it going to come to the point that the people of Europe, and maybe even across the world, are going to have to use force to get their government in line?
Like the Arab Spring years ago.
Exactly.
I mean, you got these dictators that want to have this 20, 30-year reign. I mean, if you go back, I'm gonna mention a name here, Ceausescu.
Yeah.
Him and his wife were captured, put on trial. Trial lasted an hour. They were found guilty and sentenced to death. And they were both alive TV, completely obliterated by fire.
Yeah.
And even after they're dead, soldiers still just emptied every clip they had in their bodies.
Didn't want no zombies coming back, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's pretty excessive.
because
Like-
Ceausescu was following he was following the philosophy of Stalin. He idolized Stalin. And stuff, and Romania at the time was part of the communist, the Axis powers.
Yeah,
The
that entire region was communist, wasn't it?
yeah,
Prior to the fall of the Berlin Wall.
yeah.
I mean, most of that entire region, all of Russia, including Ukraine, China, which is still communist,
There were
and
about
many other territories were all under communist regimes.
there were at least over 12 countries that were communist, and
Yeah, Cuba was communist.
they had their own little version of the UN, their own communist UN. If you see it now, it's a shell of its former self.
Yeah.
And on the
Well,
floor,
to be fair, the United Nations in and of itself is kind of becoming a shell of its former self too.
Yeah.
But I digress.
If you see it now, there's a giant hammer and sickle on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's talked about restoring it, making it into a museum.
Well, it's always good to remember history. Problem is it going to be actual history, or is it just going to be, the age-old history is written by those who have hanged heroes?
Or history resurrected and shit.
Well, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. But the problem is, how can we learn history when we're being lied to about what's happening right in front of our face? I mean, if the mainstream media in particular can sit there and lie to you about what's happening in real time, imagine what the powers that be can do to history. I mean, most people alive today don't realize that the South and the people who wanted slaves were the Democratic Party, and that Lincoln was the first Republican, and they were known as the Radical Republicans. And we're the ones who wanted to free the slaves, and were the first party to elect people of color to political office. Most people don't realize that up until, the past 40 years? Up until about 40 years ago?
Exactly.
It was the Democratic Party who were the, quote, racist party and stood in opposition to blacks and other minorities and opposed any sort of civil rights legislation and wanted segregation and all that kind of shit. Most people alive don't know these things. Even though it's public knowledge, most people don't know this. Even people from our generation.
Yeah.
How many people can you walk up to within your own age bracket in California and say which party was for and against segregation in the United States in the 50s and 60s? They would probably think it was the Republicans. And that's people within our age bracket, within our 40s and 50s.
The Democrats, since the end of the Civil War, they were fighting against the black communities
and equal rights.
Yeah, for equal rights until '64, when that passed. Johnson had to do it for political reasons.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't do it, even though he's a Democrat,
his party would have died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're already 60 years after. 60 years after,
Yeah. I mean, even now, you have the Democratic Party that is pro LGBTQ. How many people actually know that their hero, Joe Biden, was, during his time when he was still coherent, was anti-gay? The guy was straight up anti-gay.
He still is. He still is.
Well, at this point,
the reason
his
why
brain is
he's
probably
not,
fucking jello. But, back when he still had all his faculties upstairs, he was very anti-gay. It wasn't until the presidency that was known as the 4 years of Weekend at Bernie's
good movie,
that he was actually pro LGBTQ plus, or whatever the hell you call it now. But
he had to do it.
most people, especially those adhering to Democratic ideologies, don't know that he was anti-gay. And for the longest time, and correct me if I am wrong here, well, wasn't he also
racist,
anti-minority and anti?
Well,
anti-immigration. Like he was very strict on immigration and very anti-gay.
His earlier years, he still holds that belief.
Yeah.
Why he changed? Most politicians will hold on that one belief, but they had to change that belief politically. Even though they carry those same beliefs, politically they have to fall back on that, even though they still have those very beliefs. Whether you're
what they can and what they actually feel, two very different things. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that makes sense from a political standpoint, selling out on your beliefs and whatnot is a very common
had to politically eat his cake and have his cake and eat it too, politically.
Yeah, it was literally selling your principles and your beliefs for power. It's lack of a better term, that's it. Selling your soul, selling out on your beliefs. Basically, you're just selling out.
Yeah.
Whether for better or for worse, you're selling out on your principles and your beliefs is what he did.
Yeah.
And that's provided that he was even coherent enough to even realize what the hell he was doing. I mean, most of what transpired in the White House during the Biden administration was autopen. They kept him in a back room eating ice cream, sitting in a fucking wheelchair, shitting his fucking pants, while Obama ran the country from down the street.
Yeah.
And just having people inside the White House, just making an occasional phone call, and there goes the auto pen.
While Joe Biden was in the basement eating ice cream, watching SpongeBob.
Yeah. Like I said, they'd have him in a back room, in a wheelchair, shitting his pants, ice cream in hand, drooling on himself, laughing at the Teletubbies till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Lieutenant ice cream.
Exactly. Again, effectively, it was Weekend at Bernie's.
Bernie, ice cream.
Exactly.
Putin's.
The thing is, my spell check isn't even enabled on my phone, and it still manages to fuck up everything.
Putin's BIG.
Yeah.
Putin's biatches.
I love it.
That's funny, dude. That's funny.
I like that. You know, I wish I could sit down right now and edit it, but I'm on my phone. So if I deviate from this page, there goes the broadcast. So I've got to wait to edit it in post.
He says, "Well then, guys, you broke spell check."
We did. We broke it. Who needs spell check?
Funny ice game.
Yeah.
My mom must actually like these nuts.
These nuts. All right. Well, but for those tuning in, you know, what are your guys' thoughts? Putin's biatch. You obviously have read the
That's funny.
title and description. What do you think? Do you think that violent revolution is an inevitability, or can we still manage a peaceful renaissance? And is the threat of violence as a final checkmate going to prove a necessity to keep political powers in check?
Well, if we pull Gandhi, man, because Gandhi for a long time, he was a guy that did non-violent resistance, drove England nuts so bad that they left.
Yeah, but his big thing is he didn't eat for like 40 days. I mean, these powers that be, they want to starve us to death. So effectively, we'd just be volunteering to do that job ourselves. So, the question is, what can we do in terms of nonviolence that is going to put the globalists back to the wall to the point where they're going to back down and go, okay, we concede.
Now,
the people have spoken, you win.
If we could go back to 2011, I mean like mid to late 2011, Occupy Wall Street, and just actually make it work.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with Occupy Wall Street. Who was in charge of that? Where was the symbolic sender? Who were the contact people for that movement? Yeah, you had a bunch of people occupy Wall Street and set up camp in the parks there. But where was anybody to officiate the demands and do the negotiations? There was nobody to do that.
No. We had Occupy Wall Street Fresno here. Same time.
Yeah. But again, there was no symbolic sender. There was nobody there to officially make the demands and partake in negotiations.
It only lasted not even 3 months.
Yeah, it was very short-lived. Most of those people were camped out in Sakati Park. But, what were they going to do with it? It's like, okay, we did a sit-in. Who's your representative? Who can we talk to resolve this issue? That never happened. And this is something that we also need to see happening in protests in general. I mean, how often?
Everywhere.
I mean, the same with like the Million Mask March. That happened every year on November the 5th to the point that it became a redundancy. What are you protesting? What are you marching for? What are your demands against the government of the country in which you are marching in?
Hey, Pop. All right. All right.
You got to go.
Dad wants to get a pizza.
Nice. So you got to go get a pizza then.
Yeah.
Don't save me a slice, fucker.
All right,
But we're
man.
already at an hour, and we can pretty much covered the topic in its entirety.
Okay.
So, to those watching, go ahead and keep this conversation going in the comments. We would love to hear your thoughts, because if a revolution or a renaissance or whatever is going to happen and change is going to be initiated, it's going to be by the people and start with the voices of the people. So we want to hear from you. We want to get your thoughts on this. Keep the conversation going.
Of the people, for the people, by the people.
Exactly. And until next time, be sure to follow us on X. Rebin, you got all your content on our X channel at Real TWWRN on X.
Yeah.
Follow us also on YouTube, Real TWWRN, and also on Rumble. The more people we get on Rumble, we can start streaming there and
Council of
branch
Genetics
out
on Rumble, Mando Network on X. 76.
Just write all this stuff down and then just hold the paper up to the screen.
I'll do that next week, man.
Yeah, do that next week, man. You got a lot of them, bro.
Oh,
in fact, send me a list and I will put it in the video description as well. That way, we can just refer people to the description. All links in bio.
All right, guys.
Reverend, go ahead and close this out, brother.
If guys are seeing this, you're our resistance.
Until next time, this is Tim Man.
Always live healthy, happy, wise. We love you guys. Peace out. Godspeed. What a blessed man.
Yep. Thank you, Reverend. Until next time, I'm the Tin Man. Hopefully at some point, Connor will be able to rejoin us. Until next time, peace out. Be safe. If you are watching this, you are the resistance.